Imagine waking up one morning and seeing snow in a desert, blood-red rain falling from the sky, or lightning that never stops for hours. Weather is something scientists believe they understand, but sometimes the atmosphere behaves in ways that leave even experts completely stunned. In today's video, we're going to uncover some of the most bizarre weather events ever recorded, moments when nature completely broke the rules and forced scientists to rethink everything they thought they knew about Earth's climate. Weather shapes our world every single day. We expect rain to fall, winds to blow, and storms to pass. But sometimes, the atmosphere produces events so strange that even the most experienced meteorologists struggle to explain them. Over the past few decades, cameras and satellites have captured incredible weather phenomena that look more like scenes from a science fiction movie than real life. From rains that look like blood to lightning storms that never seem to end, these events remind us that nature is still full of mysteries. And today, we were going to explore some of the most bizarre weather events that shocked experts around the world. So buckle up, because what you're about to see might completely change the way you think about the weather. Imagine stepping outside during a storm and noticing something deeply unsettling. The rain falling from the sky isn't clear. It isn't gray, instead it's red. Dark red, splashing onto cars, rooftops, and streets like drops of blood. For centuries, events like this have terrified people around the world. Many believed it was a bad omen, a supernatural warning, or even a sign of the end times. But what exactly causes something as bizarre as blood rain? One of the most famous modern cases happened in 2001 in Kerala, India. Residents were shocked when rain began falling in a strange red color, staining clothes, buildings, and water sources. At first, many people thought the rain was contaminated with pollution or desert dust. But when scientists collected samples of the rainwater and examined it under microscopes, they discovered something even stranger. Inside the rain droplets were tiny red particles that looked almost like microscopic cells. Some researchers initially believed they might be unusual airborne algae spores that had been lifted high into the atmosphere and carried by clouds before falling back down during rainfall. But the mystery only deepened when further studies suggested the particles behaved differently than typical spores. For a while, speculation grew wildly, with some even proposing the particles might have come from unusual atmospheric reactions or even extraterrestrial origins. While most scientists reject the alien theory, the unusual nature of the particles kept the debate alive for years. And Kerala isn't the only place where this phenomenon has appeared. Historical records describe red rain events dating back thousands of years. Ancient Roman writers mentioned rain that looked like blood falling from the sky, terrifying entire cities. Similar reports have appeared in Europe, Australia, and parts of the Middle East. Each time it happens, witnesses describe the same chilling sight, rainwater that looks disturbingly like blood splattering across the ground. In many cases, scientists eventually trace the color to dust storms carrying red sand from deserts, particularly the Sahara. Powerful winds can lift massive amounts of reddish dust high into the atmosphere. When this dust mixes with rain clouds and falls back to Earth, it can give rainwater a deep crimson color. But what makes blood rain so fascinating is that not every event has the exact same explanation. Sometimes the color comes from desert dust. Other times it may come from airborne spores, algae, or microscopic organisms that drift through the sky before being trapped in rain clouds. The atmosphere is a vast and complicated system, and storms can transport particles thousands of miles before releasing them in unexpected places. What makes blood rain so shocking isn't just the science behind it, it's the eerie experience of witnessing it. Imagine watching red droplets splashing onto the pavement, running down windows, and pooling in gutters while the sky above looks completely normal. For people seeing it for the first time, the sight can feel almost apocalyptic, as if nature itself is sending a mysterious signal from the clouds. Now imagine standing beneath a night sky where lightning flashes again, and again, and again. Not for a few minutes like a normal storm, but for hours, sometimes even the entire night. Thunder rolls constantly in the distance, while bright streaks of electricity split the sky every few seconds. For most places on Earth, lightning storms come and go quickly. But in one extraordinary location, lightning appears so frequently that scientists once struggled to believe the numbers they were seeing. This incredible phenomenon occurs above Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela, and it's known as the Catatumbo lightning. Here, lightning storms happen with such intensity that the sky can light up thousands of times in a single night. At its peak, the storm can produce over 20,000 lightning strikes in just one evening, creating a dazzling display that looks like nature's own electric fireworks show. Local residents have witnessed this phenomenon for centuries. Long before scientists arrived to study it, people living near the lake were already familiar with the glowing horizon that appeared night after night. Sailors navigating nearby waters even used the lightning as a natural lighthouse, relying on the constant flashes to guide their way through the darkness. But what makes this place so perfect for lightning? Meteorologists discovered that the geography of the region plays a huge role. Warm, moist air rises from the surface of Lake Maracaibo, while cool winds rush down from the surrounding Andes Mountains. When these air masses collide, they create powerful atmospheric instability. This unstable air acts like a giant storm engine, generating enormous thunderclouds that continuously produce lightning. Inside these massive storm clouds, ice particles and water droplets crash into each other at incredible speeds. These collisions build up electrical charges, turning the cloud into a gigantic battery waiting to discharge energy. Eventually, the tension becomes too strong, and a bolt of lightning blasts through the sky in a brilliant flash. But here's where things get even more astonishing. Unlike typical thunderstorms that move away after a short time, the conditions over Lake Maracaibo often remain stable for hours. This means the storm can keep producing lightning again and again without stopping. Some nights, lightning strikes hundreds of times per hour, creating one of the most concentrated lightning displays anywhere on Earth. Scientists studying the region were amazed by just how powerful and consistent this phenomenon is. Satellite observations have confirmed that this area experiences the highest density of lightning strikes on the planet. The storm season can last for months, turning the night sky into a nearly constant flicker of electric light. For people witnessing Catatumbo lightning for the first time, the sight is unforgettable. The horizon pulses with glowing flashes, clouds illuminate like giant lanterns, and thunder rumbles across the lake while streaks of lightning carve glowing lines across the sky. It's a reminder that the atmosphere above us is capable of producing energy on a scale that can feel almost otherworldly. Now imagine walking outside after a powerful storm and seeing something scattered across the streets that definitely shouldn't to be there. Not leaves, not branches, but dozens of fish lying on the ground, flopping helplessly on sidewalks, rooftops, and fields. At first glance, it sounds like something straight out of a fantasy movie. But believe it or not, there are real places on Earth where people claim that fish actually fall from the sky during storms. One of the most famous examples happens in the small town of Lloro, Honduras. Every year, after intense seasonal storms roll through the region, locals report finding hundreds of small fish covering the ground. The phenomenon is so well known that the community even celebrates it with a yearly festival called Lluvia de Peces, which literally means rain of fish. Residents say that after heavy thunderstorms, the ground suddenly becomes covered with fish that appear as if they had fallen directly from the clouds. For generations, people believed this strange event was nothing short of a miracle. Some locals thought it was a blessing, believing the fish were sent from the heavens to provide food for the community. But when scientists began studying the phenomenon, they started looking for explanations rooted in the power of the atmosphere. Meteorologists point to one possible culprit: waterspouts and powerful tornado-like winds. Waterspouts are spinning columns of air that form over bodies of water. When they develop, they can act like giant vacuum cleaners, sucking up water along with small creatures such as fish, frogs, and even crabs. Once lifted high into storm clouds, these animals can travel long distances before eventually falling back to the ground when the storm weakens. This theory explains why animals sometimes appear far away from any lake or ocean after severe weather. Storm systems are incredibly powerful, capable of lifting objects thousands of feet into the air. When the wind currents change or the storm loses strength, whatever was carried upward can suddenly fall back to Earth. However, the fish rain in Euro presents a curious detail that still puzzles experts. Some researchers who visited the area noticed that the fish found after storms are often alive and relatively undamaged, something that seems surprising considering they would have traveled through violent storm clouds. Others observed that the species of fish found on the ground might actually live in nearby underground streams, suggesting they could be forced to the surface during flooding rather than falling from the sky. Despite years of investigation, the exact cause of the phenomenon hasn't been completely confirmed. What people do know is that unusual reports of animals falling from the sky have occurred in many parts of the world. In different places, witnesses have described frogs, small fish, worms, and even tiny jellyfish appearing after storms. Picture the moment it happens. The storm finally clears, the clouds break apart, and people walk outside expecting to see puddles and fallen branches. Instead, they discover something astonishing: living creatures scattered across the ground, as if the sky itself had suddenly decided to release them back to Earth. Picture a wildfire raging across a dry forest. Flames roar through the trees, smoke fills the sky, and the heat becomes so intense that the air itself begins to shimmer. Now imagine that fire suddenly starts to spin. The flames twist upward into a towering column, swirling violently like a tornado made entirely of fire. What you're re-witnessing is one of the most terrifying and rare weather phenomena on Earth: a fire tornado, also known as a fire whirl. Fire tornadoes occur when intense heat from a wildfire interacts with unstable air and strong winds. Normally, hot air rises straight upward, but under certain conditions, the rising heat begins to rotate. As the flames pull oxygen from all directions, the fire forms a spinning vortex that can stretch dozens or even hundreds of feet into the air. These fiery whirlwinds don't just look dramatic, they are extremely dangerous. A fire tornado can move unpredictably, carrying burning debris, embers, and flames across large distances. This means fires can suddenly jump roads, rivers, or fire breaks that were supposed to stop them. Firefighters battling wildfires often describe fire whirls as some of the most frightening things they encounter in the field. One of the most shocking examples happened during the Carr Fire in California in 2018. During the peak of the wildfire, meteorologists and firefighters observed something extraordinary. A massive rotating column of fire formed inside the blaze and began growing larger and more powerful. This wasn't just a small fire whirl, it had grown so strong that it behaved almost like a real tornado. Weather instruments later revealed that this fire tornado produced wind speeds exceeding 140 miles per hour, comparable to the strength of an EF3 tornado. The vortex ripped through parts of the landscape, tearing down trees, flipping vehicles, and spreading flames rapidly across the area. Experts were stunned because the fire tornado had developed its own internal weather system, creating powerful rotating winds fueled entirely by the heat of the fire itself. Scientists studying these events explain that fire tornadoes form when three main ingredients combine: intense heat, turbulent air, and strong wind patterns. Wildfires release enormous amounts of energy, heating the air above them to extreme temperatures. As this superheated air rises rapidly, cooler air rushes in to replace it. If winds begin swirling at the same time, the rising heat can stretch that rotation upward, forming a spinning column of fire. Inside the vortex, temperatures can become unbelievably high. The spinning motion feeds the flames with fresh oxygen, making the fire burn even hotter and more violently. Embers and burning debris are sucked into the rotating column and thrown outward, spreading the fire in unpredictable directions. To someone witnessing it for the first time, a fire tornado can look almost unreal. Flames spiral upward like a glowing cyclone, roaring with a sound that resembles a jet engine. The air around it shimmers with heat, and everything in its path is consumed by the swirling inferno as the fiery vortex twists its way across the landscape. When most people think of deserts, they imagine endless stretches of golden sand, blazing sunlight, and temperatures so hot that the air seems to ripple above the ground. Deserts are known for extreme heat and dryness, places where rain itself can be rare. But every once in a while, something happens that seems completely impossible. The sky darkens, the temperature drops suddenly, and soft white flakes begin drifting through the air over the region. When the cold air met the moisture, it created the perfect conditions for snowfall. Because the desert temperature dropped low enough, the snowflakes were able to reach the ground instead of melting in the air. But even when snow falls in the Sahara, it rarely lasts long. As soon as the sun rises higher in the sky, the desert heat quickly begins melting the snow away. Within hours, the white landscape starts disappearing, leaving behind the familiar golden dunes once again. What makes this event so fascinating is how dramatically it changes the appearance of the desert. Sand dunes, normally shaped by winds and glowing with warm colors, suddenly become covered in smooth layers of white snow. The contrast between the orange sand and the bright snow creates one of the most surreal landscapes imaginable. And the Sahara isn't the only desert where snow has appeared. Other deserts around the world, including parts of the Middle East and even the American Southwest, have occasionally experienced snowfall during unusual cold fronts. These rare events remind scientists that deserts aren't always hot all the time. In fact, desert climates can be incredibly extreme, with temperatures that swing from intense heat during the day to freezing cold at night. Imagine standing in the middle of a desert that usually burns under the sun, only to feel snowflakes landing on your face while the dunes around you slowly turn white as if the desert itself has briefly stepped into a completely different season. From rain that looks like blood, to lightning storms that refuse to stop. From fish mysteriously appearing after storms, to spinning tornadoes made of fire, and even snow falling in the middle of scorching deserts, our planet continues to prove that nature is far more unpredictable than we often realize. These bizarre weather events remind us that Earth's atmosphere is an incredibly complex system. Scientists have studied weather patterns for decades using satellites, supercomputers, and advanced instruments, yet moments like these still appear that challenge our understanding. Every strange storm, every unexplained rainfall, and every rare atmospheric phenomenon pushes researchers to ask new questions and search for deeper answers. What makes these events even more fascinating is the experience of the people who witness them. Imagine seeing red rain splashing onto the ground, watching the sky flash endlessly with lightning, or stepping outside after a storm to find fish scattered across the street. These are the kinds of moments that make people stop and realize just how powerful and mysterious nature can be. And while many of these phenomena eventually find scientific explanations, they also show that the Earth still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. The atmosphere above us is constantly moving, changing, and interacting in ways that can sometimes produce events so unusual they look almost unreal. So, the next time dark clouds gather above you or a storm rolls across the horizon, remember that the weather isn't always as predictable as it seems. Somewhere in the world right now, nature might be creating another strange phenomenon that will shock scientists and leave witnesses wondering what they just saw. And who knows, the next bizarre weather event might already be forming in the sky.